All right, what is up, everybody? Here on M Cubed, of course, I am Schmook, and sorry I'm a little late, just a minute late. My apologies. I kind of thought I put it for 5:45, and I realized, oh shoot, I put it for 5:40. But we're here. No need to worry. But yeah. I hope everyone's having a great Monday. Hard to do, but hey, that's why we have this show, so we can make your Monday a little bit better. But yeah, I'm loving that. I've been missing this for a little while. Just a show that I love that I can just go to a friend's house and just hang out with the boys and watch a show that we all really love. It reminds me of last year. Ultimately, a year ago, me and my boys, like, we used to always get together. We'd either play some poker or play some video games or something before The Last of Us would come out. And unfortunately, not a lot of my friends love The Walking Dead, but I have two of my best friends in this entire world who love The Walking Dead. So it's just great to go over there to my buddy Bob's, who's been on the show, of course, and just watch something that we really care about and love. And so far, we're not very disappointed with The Ones Who Live, and that's what we're here to talk about. Yeah, but I will say I also watched the first episode of Dead City and the first episode of Daryl yesterday after we watched The Ones Who Live. So I might make a video on each of those whenever The Ones Who Live is done, because I think I'm going to continue with Daryl, because I think I was vibing with that a little bit more. But yeah. I'm going to take a little drink. Well, darn, we have no one in here yet, unfortunately, but I don't really want to get really into it yet, but I guess we will. So, The Ones Who Live. So a week ago, we got to talk about the first episode, right? And how it is awesome, right? We got a lot of Rick in that episode. And I will say, with this episode, I do think it's a worse episode, but I think that they started off this show with like a top tier Walking Dead universe episode, in my opinion. Like, to me, it's a top 5 episode overall within the Walking Dead universe. And because I've had a week to really ponder it, and I think I believe in that. Yeah. But so this one was called Gone. This episode title, last episode, was called Years. So Years Gone, and next week's episode is going to be called Bye. So Years Gone By. So that's cool. It's cool that they're doing these fun episode titles. But yeah, episode 2 is titled Gone, right? And it was really good. I do think it was really good. Again, it keeps the pace. It keeps the epicness of the first episode, in my opinion. Because again, I can just tell that they put so much money and time into this project. When I watched Dead City's first episode, I'm like, this is good, but I feel like they're not putting a ton of money into it. I mean, they definitely put some money into it. Don't get me wrong. Hold on, let me look. What's happening here? My hair is looking crazy. I can't fix it. Oh well. My God, man. Anyway, if you joined the stream, say hey. But yeah, again, this was a good episode. It was a good episode, and I think it's an episode that's necessary ultimately. Because like the first 45 minutes is Michonne basically right after we see her last within the Walking Dead show, where she's helping out this couple where one has like a broken ankle or something, right? Just get them back to the people they're with. And so we get to know these characters a little bit more, get a slight idea of what their community is like. It's like just a traveling like Oregon Trail type of situation, right? And you get to meet Nat. I can't remember the other two's names. I hate to say. They meant a lot to Michonne for some reason, but I don't understand why or how, because you barely see that relationship, in my opinion. Yeah, she saved their lives, but I just don't see how. That was my biggest issue with this episode. So I'll start with the negatives, and I'll get into the positives, right? This was my biggest negative of the show. Like, yeah, Nat, I thought was a good new character introduction. It kind of continues that trend of last week's episode with Okafor, I believe is his name, where they kill him off. They kill off Nat in this episode. But Nat served a very like beginning, middle, and end type of character development for an episode, right? And I get it. I think the main characters obviously are Rick and Michonne. And of course, I think Jadis, she shows up at the end of this episode. I think she's probably the third main character within this show. We're going to get introduced to a lot of new characters, but I really think that's really a Rick and Michonne show. What's up, Shit Farmer? Good to have you here. Whoever else is in here, say hey. Say hey. But I think the idea is just like so far to have like these awesome new characters that we're introduced to, and they don't have to last that long. You know, they can be memorable pieces to this universe just for the purpose that they're serving. Like with Rick, with Okafor, I believe that's his name. I'm not completely sure. What's up, Mark? Good to have you. He served his purpose, like to get Rick to where he needs to be, which is to stop trying to escape and just accept his role, and he can eventually leave, potentially. And then Nat was like the one who survived with Michonne after this chlorine gas gets dropped on them from the CRM, which is cool because that shows why they eventually end up attacking Rick's helicopter at one point, right? But yeah, this chlorine gas like gasses them out, and that's how you lose King Bach's character and his wife, who's apparently pregnant. But Nat and Michonne, like their lungs are messed up, their throats are screwed, so they have to spend this time in like this, like I don't know, it doesn't look like it, I want to say IKEA, but it's not an IKEA, but this like just this general store of some sort that has like beds and whatnot. But they stay in that clearly for a long time, like they have to survive like the winter there. But yeah, so Michonne clearly had a strong relationship with Nat. I don't know how long Michonne was with the other two, but again, it seemed like she was very fond of them. When Nat died, right after she finds Rick, I understand that. I felt that loss to her more than the other two. She was obviously clearly devastated with the other two, but I just don't feel like they did enough character development with those two characters. That's my biggest gripe. And again, like you barely see any of their other community members besides like their leader or something at one point. At the very beginning of the episode, I'm just like, I'm fine with it because I mean it just leads us more into like, oh, we don't have to like watch all like a ton of Michonne's like what she's been doing, and then just get to her and Rick, right? Shit Farmer, I will happily go whenever it happens. All right, because I'll need it. Trust me. But anyway, but so overall, I think like what we've missed from Michonne, it was good to see. I still think it was the strongest thing as opposed to Rick, where we haven't seen him in years. Like what he's been going through and what he has gone through is like, I think it's a lot better. But I mean, Michonne had some loss. I mean, but Rick lost an entire. He lost his hand, and he's tried to escape multiple times from this military operation. And it just, and again, Rick had some far better scenes and stuff overall. But again, it's nice to have Michonne back. That's the bottom line to me. Like she's been missed. I've missed Michonne. It was good to finally see her back. And she's still as badass as ever. I loved when there was like this huge like herd of walkers, right? And she has like this new weapon of some sort where she shoots a thing out and like it explodes, right? It's kind of like a rocket launcher, but it's not really, but it's cool. So I thought that was awesome. And I mean, that's really it. We don't really get that much. That's like otherwise they get chlorine gassed, and then they get and then there's the Michonne scene with that big herd, but there's really not. I think I'm just overall just a little let down. I think they could have done her story a little bit better. Could have developed these characters a little bit more. I think they did well with Nat. I think Nat was actually a pretty good character. I was not on board with the character at first, but by the time Nat died, I was like, okay, this is fine. I like the character. It's just not my not my favorite new character in The Walking Dead or anything, but it served his purpose, right? Uh, Overall, I was a fan. But then we get to where the episode really kicks in. It's when they see the helicopter flying in once again, right? Well, okay, hold on. Actually, before I get to that, the scene like before that is where Nat's like, "Listen, you can believe, but you can still go home. That he's out there, but he's not here because, like, remember she got like this log that says that the ship was originally in New Jersey or whatever. So that's where she goes with Nat. They find the ship and whatnot, and all these remains, and they're like it's a bunch of burnt up bodies. So she's like, he's not here. Even if he is, I'll never find him. Uh, so she's kind of giving up. It's kind of like a mirrored thing of Rick giving up with like he's like, "This is my last letter I'm sending to you." Uh, so it's sad to see her kind of give up, but she has someone, unlike Rick, to support her, being like, "Listen, you don't have to give up. You can still believe a little bit longer," which is what it says on her phone, right? That Rick made of her and Judith. Nat's actually good moral support here to be like, listen, like you can still believe he's out there, but you should go home. You have kids to look after, and it's just you can still believe he's out there, but you should not risk your life. We've already lost some people. Let's get you home. Which I thought was a good scene. I really like that scene, but overall, I thought it was all just fine. Like compared to years, right? I think that episode was just crazy, crazy, and I thought this was good. But then it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, this episode's getting sick, and that's where we see the helicopter fly over when they're in like a forest or something, right? Or like just the woods, right? And that's where you have Nat shoot his first arrow, and he's like, damn, it was a dud. And that's where that's where Okafor got like shot. And I'm like, how did he get shot? But that explains that. Then Nat shoots it again and takes down the helicopter, right? And then and this is all mainly for revenge for the death of their two friends, which I wish they built up these characters a little bit better, because like Michonne like takes off a dude's mask and she's like, look at me. She's like, you bombed my friends. Because again, it's the apocalypse. She's like, oh, it was one helicopter. Who the hell has helicopters at this point in the apocalypse, right? So she's like, she thinks this is the exact same crew that basically gassed her and her friends and killed two of her friends, right? So she wants revenge, and that kind of fills in the gap of why like she takes off Rick's helmet, doesn't just kill him right away, because she wants to see the light go out of their eyes. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But then we get the reunion. The reunion was awesome. It was awesome because again, like years ends with like Michonne lifting out the mask and like they're both shocked to see each other, and then it just ends. This continues that moment where they have a good long hug. They kiss for a solid minute because it's like, okay, like I haven't seen you in years, 6 years, and like they both, and like Michonne says, "I found you," kills me. Like the night goes off in this episode. So far, her and Andrew Lincoln have given killer performances, and her saying "I found you" is also just a good callback to Rick saying "I found you" when he really didn't, when he was hallucinating with his last episode, right? So I think that's awesome to be like, she found him. I found you is awesome. And then Rick's like, I'm not with them. Trust me. You have to trust me. I'm not with these people. She's like, I know you're not. He's like, I got to do what I have to do to get out, to get home. And then Nat gets shot after this beautiful moment of the reunion, right? And it's sad. Says a few things to Michonne that's like pretty like just keep believing, blah blah blah. But Nat was able to make it to the moment of the reunion, which is great because Nat deserved it because he helped Michonne get to this point. So Nat deserved to see Rick Grimes. I did love how her telling these stories. It seems like an awesome love story to them, and they're all so intrigued. They're like, we want to see you make it to Rick. I mean, that's what the one pregnant girl was saying. Unfortunately, she dies, but Nat was able to make it. Rick flying the helicopter was hilarious. How many user manuals? I mean, here's the thing. Shit Farmer. Ultimately, one, they probably have a good amount of like military experience there, and they can teach Rick how to do it without having manuals because they've done this so long they can teach someone how to fly a helicopter. And Rick's been gone for 7 years, and like 2 of these years he's been like truly like committed to like being a part of this military. So he's obviously learned it. And like they also have like in the first episode you see that they have like a simulation type of thing, like a screen and like a joystick to be able to like practice to fly a helicopter. So I don't think it's that out of whack, but I get your point. Also, if someone news in the stream, say hey in the chat. I want to know who's watching. I know we have Matt and Shit Farmer for sure. Anyway, so basically, the reunion is such a happy moment, and then it's immediately taken away with the death of Nat. And then Rick is like, they're coming. There's more of them. And he's like, don't use your real name because they know who she is. He's like, don't call them. He's pointing a gun to her. He's like, I have to take you in. You need to raise your hand. They can't know I know you. And it's like, I can't leave. And like, you can't leave either. But also don't show that you're a leader or they'll kill you. Just be a normal, simple person, right? And this was a crazy scene to me. Just Rick putting a gun to Michonne. He's like, this is the only way. This is the only way. And it's such a good scene. I was a big fan of that scene. Let's see, what'd you say, Jamar? No, yeah. I mean, I got you, Chevron. I got you. So basically, Michonne gets to the CRM and she's initiated, like basically proving that she's like, she was with a group for a while, didn't work out. Said her weapon of choice was a bow staff, so it wasn't her sword. Yeah, it was a good scene. Again, this is like where the episode I think to me is like really good. Where I think before like the reunion, I think it's a good episode, but it's not like great. Where I feel like I don't really have to rewatch the episode until I get to the reunion part. It felt like something I could watch once and I'm okay with for the rest of my life. But again, once we get to this whole sequence, it's like, okay, Michonne is becoming a part of the CRM. And I like that she's like walking around with the jacket, like kind of like, just walking around. And then some soldier grabs her and takes her into some like, warehouse of some sort or something, right? And Rick takes off his helmet. They make out for a good moment. And I'm just like, oh, dude, he is craving this girl. Because like when he's just kissing her, dude, I hear him moan like 3 times. And I'm like, dude, Rick, you are hungry. I'm like, this dude is bricked up, but of course, like he sees the love of his life for the first time in like 7 years. And it's awesome. And it's like the fact that they both are still so madly in love with each other after this long is remarkable. Because most people can move on after that amount of time. She could just assume he's dead, but she got that moment of he's out there, or at least he could be. He survived the bridge. If he survived the bridge, he can probably survive anything. But now they're here, they're with each other. And, it's nice to get this little moment of after they're kissing in this warehouse or whatever, or garage, whatever it is. He goes, "Are they okay? Is she okay?" And Michelle goes, "They're okay. She's okay." And then her eyes kind of like lining up, and Rick's like, "What?" She's like, "Oh, she's us, Rick. Don't worry." He's like, "What?" She's like, "I'll tell you the rest when we get out." Which is clearly her like not wanting to tell him that he has a kid until she knows that they can get out and get back to them. But yeah, the fact that he has a son is crazy. Well, I mean, fair. Shit farmer. I mean, I think a katana would actually be okay. I want to use like a broadsword, like a sword. A katana I would consider using within the zombie apocalypse because it's pretty light and all you have to do is sharpen it. But again, I can see the blade eventually just breaking eventually. So I'm with you. I don't think it's the most practical thing, but I think it's better than most. I'd rather use that. I'd rather use a katana than a baseball bat in the zombie apocalypse. But that's just me. Because a baseball bat I think is a lot heavier of a weapon, and like a katana is light. You can swish, and like again, it's sharp, so you're gonna be able to kill multiple bodies, I think, pretty quickly. But yeah, but anyway, so basically after this scene, we get to the ending. Yeah, breaks easy, goes dull. I mean, that's fair. I'm with you. I'm with you, shit farmer. It's not my choice, but again, I would have it over a lot of other weapons. But yeah, so we have this awesome little moment of like, oh, also Michonne finds out in this scene that Rick lost his arm because she like grabs his hand and she's like, "What's this?" He's like, "Yeah, it happened a while ago when I tried to escape." And like Rick's just like, "I can't keep trying to escape," and it's sad because like last time he tried to escape, he lost his arm. He's like, I can't get away from them. But he's like, I know we can together, and we have to figure it out. And like it seems like okay, they're together now. You think it's like way more likely that they can do this. I have more hope now that they're both together. Then we get to the last scene of the episode. You have Jadis waiting on Rick to enter his apartment with a glass of like whiskey or something, you know, and she's just talking some crazy shit. Like it's kind of remarkable that in the apocalypse, somehow the living can still run into each other because she obviously knows Michonne. She's like, I'm keeping all this off the record, but she's like, Rick, excuse my language, okay, but what the fuck are you doing? And it's like, okay. I'm like, this is nuts. Because now he's like, shit, I have Jadis to worry about. I forgot all about Jadis. I just found my wife. And I'm like, okay, now let's think. How the fuck to get out of here, right? And now Jadis is just this huge obstacle now. Like someone who was a part of his group, saved his life also, even though she brought him to the CRM, still saved his life so he could eventually maybe get back to the loved ones he loves. But how are they going to get out of this? It actually blows my mind. I have no idea where this goes from here. And I hate that, I know before this episode, I actually got this kind of spoiled for me a little bit. I saw a lot of stuff on TikTok, you know? Like I saw like the reunion scene, I saw this ending scene. I'm like, and I also saw the warehouse scene. I saw literally the only scenes I really cared about truly from this episode. Like, obviously I liked everything else, but these were like the scenes of the episode. Of course, these are the scenes of Rick Grimes, right? And so I kind of hate that I saw them beforehand, but it's whatever. But this is it's a great show. Like I'm so excited for the next episode, which is going to be titled Bye. And I'm curious what happens. Because, I mean, we saw a little sneak peek, right? And, sorry. Hold on. Shit Farmer. Well, sidetracked already. John Wick 5, I assume it's going to happen. Keanu loves that franchise, and the last one was really good. But yeah, I assume it would come out in 2025, 2026. I think they have to get filming. So yeah, I think they'll come out. Once I hear something, though, if you're in stream, I'll let you know for sure. But yeah, but next episode, again, it just looks like they're just, you know, still all part of CRM. It looks like Michonne is on like some sort of mission. I don't know if she's just going to be a part of the military, but I guess she will. I think that's her role, instead of being part of the civilians. And I don't think it's going to be flashbacks. But I think we'll get... I hope we get some sort of... I actually really want a flashback sequence within the show, like if Rick was talking to Shane or Glenn or someone, like some scene that we didn't see on like within the like first few seasons of the show, but like just a good moment of Rick just trying to remember shit, like some good moral advice he got from like... It won't be Herschel because the actor's dead, unfortunately. But Glenn, I think a good Glenn scene would be awesome within this show. But yeah, I think that's going to do it, though, guys. Not the longest stream, but I think the first episode was something I could really talk about because there was so much Rick Grimes. And like the Michonne stuff was good. I think it was a necessary episode. It's just not my favorite. But again, I still think the show is top notch. If you love The Walking Dead and if you love these characters, watch it. The reunion was something so beautiful that we've been waiting since 2018 for. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream. Yeah, but again, not the longest, but I don't think after this episode 3, but I think episode 4, I think I'll be able to talk about the first episode of Invincible as well. So look forward to that, guys. All right, guys, it's been awesome. I hope you have an awesome rest of your Monday, and I will catch y'all very soon. Bye bye.